Rev up your engines!
Win 5282 says, Scotty, I bought a new car from the dealer I purchased. It gives a lifetime powertrain warranty. These warranties, lifetime powertrain warranty. You know, what does that really mean? Theoretically, it means that if the engine or the transmission goes out, they're going to fix it free. But from my experience, they're usually not worth the paper that they're printed on, if it was even printed anywhere, because they have so many disclaimers. They'll say stuff like, if your engine goes out, well, you didn't change your oil enough, or you overheated the engine and that's why the engine broke. They got so many outs that they can go that they're not going to fix it. Or they'll say stuff like, well, that's normal wear. So let's say the transmission's shifting really poorly. They'll just say, well, that's normal wear. As they get old, they shift poorly. We're not going to, rebuild your transmission or give you a $5,000 transmission under the warranty. Most of that stuff isn't worth the paper that it's printed on. And when you get something like limited powertrain warranty, you have no idea what they're actually going to cover. And in my experience, I've had customers that have those, and 80% of the time, they bring it to me and I look at it, I call up the company and they say, oh, no, we're not going to cover that. So don't really listen to that, especially in a used vehicle. Things are going to break, and there's no way they're going to fix all that stuff for free. Most of it is just total lies from the people that are selling you the stuff. Marin says, Scotty, which one has more plastic, the Kardashians or BMWs? The only thing I could say would be a Kardashian who's driving a BMW. That would definitely have the most plastic, but BMWs have been using plastic for decades now. I got a customer who's still got a 1980s BMW, and that thing doesn't have much plastic on it at all. The modern ones, and it's cheap plastic too, it doesn't hold up over time. The heat from like the cooling system and everything in it is plastic. And the intake manifold with all these plastic parts on it that crack and break. That's the big reason I tell people don't buy a BMW. I had a mechanic friend once, met him at a parts store. So I was going, he says, oh man, look, I just got this beautiful BMW. One of my customers was tired of it, so I bought it from him. And I'm thinking, ha ha ha, he doesn't know much about BMWs. I saw him about a year later in the same auto parts store. I said, how's that BMW going, Joe? And he said, oh, Scotty, that BMW, I got rid of it a month ago. It was just killing me with parts for all that plastic stuff. And this was a mechanic. So stay away from both the Kardashians and BMWs if you don't want to deal with plastic. 2JZGTETT says, Scotty, what do you think about Ford Expedition 08, 80,000 kilometers for 6K? People say they break down when they get old, like 200,000. Yeah, as Ford Expeditions ages, they're high-tech luxury SUVs, big monstrosities, and they do have to have electronic work done on them generally as they age. You only got 80,000 kilometers. That's like, what, I don't know, 44,000 miles? That's nothing. $6,000. Imagine what somebody paid for it when it was new. Outrageous. So if a mechanic checks it out and says, yes, that's the real mileage, and yes, it's in decent shape, go ahead and buy it. If you want a big monstrosity that, uses a lot of gas, it could be okay, because generally, yeah, like you say, if you're talking about 200,000 kilometers, yeah, that's generally when they start to have problems. We say when they get more than 100,000 miles, more than that, but still, yeah, then they would start. But for the mileage that it has, if, you can go another 120,000 kilometers, not put much in it, go right ahead and buy it. Remdo says, I got a friend with a 2014 Accord. The push button lights up in the dash, but it won't turn over. And the battery tests fine. I can just about guarantee you it needs a starter. On those 2014 Accords, they put the crappiest, smallest little starters on those things. And if it's a 4-cylinder one, which I'm assuming it is, because most of them around me are, you got to take off part of the intake manifold to get the starter off. Another brilliant design. But they just built those starters poorly. I've changed out scores of them in those things, and odds are it just needs a starter. It was a bad design, a poorly made starter, so go get one. And my advice, if you can find a new one, put a new one in, because otherwise, if you go to a discount auto parts stores, you get one of their crappy starters that Honda made that has been rebuilt. Well, a rebuilt one is going to last less than the brand new one did. So if you can find a brand new one, it's generally going to last longer than a rebuilt on that particular Honda, because they're notorious for breaking down in the first place. Timberwolf Fall 29 says, Scotty, I've been noticing the prices of the Ford Crown Vic Police Interceptor have been shooting up lately. What's up here? All right, well, they're not going to be making them anymore. So people that like those vehicles, the big old Crown Vics, hey, they want them. They know they're not going to be making them anymore. And so the prices are shooting up on the used ones. And there's always a certain amount of people that like a certain vehicle. A couple years ago, Porsche decided they were going to make 1,000 supercars, and they were going for $900-something thousand, almost $1 million, right? And all the other supercar people who make 50 a year, 120 a year, they said, Porsche's going to lose their shirt on that one. How are they going to find 1,000 people that are going to buy these supercar Porsches, right? Well, they sold them all before they even had one completely built, because there are that many million and billionaires who wanted to buy this Porsche supercar. So there's a certain amount of people that want a Crown Vic that like that, so the prices is going to start going up since they're not producing anymore. It's the old law of supply and demand. Shma asks, hey, if I'm using full synthetic engine oil, should I continue to do so forever? Yes. You want to stick with a particular type of oil. If it works for you, keep using it. Now, they all are supposed to have certain additives. They have minimum requirements here in the United States, but they're all slightly different. So let's say I like castor oil. So you're using castor synthetic oil. I would continue to use it as long as you have the car. Why mess with success? Why change from one or another? I mean, let's say you go to Walmart and buy their synthetic oil all the time and it works fine. Just keep buying it. You don't want to switch. And the worst thing to do is to switch from synthetic to non-synthetic, or from non-synthetic to synthetic, go back and forth. Because really, if something works in your engine, you should leave it alone. And of course, especially say you got an older car and it's used normal oil. Do not switch a high mileage old car from normal to synthetic, because I have seen, just because it flows better, I've seen leaks, I've seen noises occurred because of the difference in them. So stick to one type of oil and leave it there if it works perfectly fine. There's no reason to change. 1345 says, so I got an '06 Jeep Liberty. Sometimes it starts fine. After I drive it for a few, it won't start, and I have to use starting fluid to start it. What could be wrong? Mainly, that would be your fuel pump is starting to go out, or you got a bad fuel pump relay. Those things are notorious for having fuel pump relay failures, so I'd say change the fuel pump relay first. That's where I'd start. But if it's not that, when it doesn't start, pressure test the fuel pump. Normally, vehicles are the other way around. They're hard to start when they're cold, but when they're warm, they start right up. Or if they start up fine when they're cold, and then they're warm, they don't start. Normally, it's they're flooding out from fuel leaking, but yours isn't flooding out, because adding starting fluid would flood it out even more. It's not getting any fuel. Check the relay first. Just change that. They're cheap. You can do that yourself easy. And if it's not that, then have the fuel pump pressure tested and pray it's the fuel pump going out and not the computer that activates it, or the crazy wiring in those Jeeps that are notorious for having electronic gremlins. Biomechanoid says, I'd like to be a bit independent. Don't want to rely on mechanics for trivial jobs. Mechanics around here aren't very good. I want to do my own oil and coolant changes, but I don't have a garage and I park outside on the street. I can't jack them up, so I'm looking for alternatives. Can you use pumps to suck the oil out? For your engine oil, you can't. I personally believe in jacking them up and unscrewing the drain plug and getting it all out. But take an example. Audis. They got a whole bunch of sheet metal on the bottom of the car to make them aerodynamic, and it would take an hour to get all that crap off to change the oil. Even at the Audi dealers, they tell you the factory thing is to suck the oil out. You go to an Audi dealer to get an oil change, they just take the dipstick out and they stick a tube in and they suck the oil out and change it that way. You know, if you want to do it that way, you know, you're still going to get more crud changing the plug. But if you can't get that and you get a good one to suck it out, do it. But the first time you do it, do this. Read what your oil change specs are. And let's say it says 5.3 quarts. When you suck it out, pour that into graduated containers and see if it's the same amount that comes out. Then you'll know, well, you got almost all of it out, so who cares? But if it says 5.3 quarts and you only get 4, it's not working right. And then jack it up to change the oil. But if it does, you can do it. Like I say, the Audi dealers, that's what they do now at the dealers, because they don't have to take the whole bottom of the car off, which kind of amazes me. That's a German for you. They're a little weird when it comes to designing things. BJan0098 says, Scotty, is the CVT in a 2020 Toyota Corolla reliable? Well, it's a 2020. I'm assuming it is, because my son bought one last year. It's 2 years old now, and it's been ultra reliable. He was kind of leery because I told him about CVT transmissions, but he found a nice Corolla S with the CVT, and he loves it. He drives hard. He loves the acceleration, and he said he actually gets better gas mileage than the ratings were. So I have to say that they've been reliable, and I'm assuming the 2020 is going to be as reliable as the previous models. But I shocked me, because he drives like a maniac, and he said he's got plenty of pickup. Toyota makes their own transmissions, ACEN, so they're pretty good at building automatic transmissions. The only time that they messed up is with their 8-speed automatics. They didn't get the software and stuff right, and they shift kind of weird. They still run. It's not like they stop, but they've had some problems with those. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.